I tend to make a video when I get all agitated, and that's usually when I'm reading the paper of some sort. And
it's usually when you come down to my apartment, right?
This is our free newspaper, so it's placed all over the city. And since it's free, I think it gets read quite a bit. And it has stories in it like Arizona dangerous love affair with guns has sparked the most permissive legislature in the land. But I got inside this New Times this morning, and is that your phone?
See, whenever you start these things, they know. They
So
call
they
on the
call.
phone, they say, you better not say that because we're going to take you in jail.
But inside the paper there was just a little article here, and it was on our district attorney, our criminal defense attorney. The county attorney has been, according to this, persecuting illegals who are, and he talks about the illegals, two illegals who all they did was make up social security numbers so they could work, take care of their families, keep them from starving. And yes, I have no doubt in the world that these people came up here from Mexico because they weren't doing very well down there. But they had to do something illegal, like, and so Sheriff Arpaio and this county district attorney, according to this paper, are
remember, you gotta quit using words that people might
prosecuting. They're not just prosecuting.
Why don't you just say our local sheriff who's been around since Wyatt Earp.
Arpaio.
As a matter of fact, Wyatt Earp introduced him as his father.
Yeah, well, you can tell So
I have no respect for this guy. He is such a.
Well, he's a publicity.
How bad is he? He's so bad that he can't vote him out of office.
He's 80 years old and he just got elected. And
yeah,
I think that he has a lot of support from across the country, but they don't really know him.
He's got it from Arizona.
They don't know him. And here in Arizona, like I've encountered Arpaio several times, but I certainly wouldn't try to talk to him. I think he's 80 years old, and he, after so long with power, people tend to become dictators, like you don't, they're not flexible. And especially when they're getting old, and he could possibly have some dementia. He could be...
Possibly?
Well, we're not all demented, of course. We don't think we are.
Here we go again.
Who in the world expects a sheriff to be right on the job when they're 80 years old? And he says he's going to run.
And how old are you?
He's got 4 years to run when he's past 80. And I'm 82, but I say this sheriff needs to step down and do something that is not that important.
Okay.
Because he doesn't have the stamina, he doesn't have the
Sheriff
ability.
It's Sheriff
I don't think, go away. Which I don't think. I'm 82. I think I'm just sharp as I can be.
You're 81. Don't be pushing it.
But apparently Arpaio just can't let go of that office. He's been so popular because he's popular across the land.
No, he's not popular.
He's managed, well, how did he get voted in?
The political system kept him.
Yeah, well. But anyway, when we have Arpaio, who's supposed to be the toughest sheriff in the whole country, that's what he advertises himself as.
I could use another adjective.
What you might call a bleeding heart mentality that feels sorry for poor Mexicans and doesn't think that coming to another country and having to fabricate a social security number so you can work and feed your families. See, now like my sons and everybody else's sons, if they get in trouble with the law, If they don't keep up their car insurance, they can get their cars impounded, they can get fined, and they can get all kinds of trouble. They can be, and they're citizens. So
yeah, that's your word.
If we have those kind of rules, and we're going to keep them for our own citizens, why do bleeding hearts expect mercy for the illegal? As what, you know, what, how can we expect our own citizens to toe the line, keep up their car insurance, even if they get disabled, even if they lose their job, or park their car?
Wait a minute, I think I know where this is going.
So anyway, yes, I don't like to see people starve. But what I think is we should be trying to investigate what Mexico is doing, that their people are doing so badly that they have to come up here in such numbers in order to even survive. Well, because I think you can't let a country like Mexico think, we'll take your starving, we'll take, you know, just send them, you know, we'll take care of them. Our country has gotten very strained taking care of illegals. I lived on the west side. I lived in the Mexican district for 20 years, and I lived in HUD housing. Every woman in there would get hit by an illegal who would melt into the night, you know, if the manager came around. You're not supposed to have guests, male guests, living with you in subsidized housing. I was living there with my kids, and every woman in there would have an illegal boyfriend on the side, or someone who would be living with her. And if the manager is getting threatened, like the manager got their car burned.
That's not a threat. That is not
oh yeah, well they took it as a threat.
Well, no.
And there was another big complex
if she's in the car and it's burning up, that's a threat. Right.
On Indian School, there was another big HUD complex. Believe me, that one was very dangerous, just like ours was, but it was smaller.
Well,
we had gun violence there. I know two women.
I'm back from the Midwest in the East. They had these gigantic, 15 stories high
HUD complexes?
They call them projects.
Projects, yes.
Most of them have been demolished because they're so bad. But there weren't any Mexicans in there. There are no Mexicans in there. No Mexicans.
Well,
in Chicago, but that's about it.
So, living there, you know.
So what is this?
And I knew a lot of nice Mexicans. I know the Mexican people, but
you don't know the Mexican people.
Well, I know them as well as you know them. Living among them for 20 years, you haven't lived among them for 20 years. You said there weren't even any Mexicans in St. Louis. So
I know they're all in Chicago.
Yeah. So anyway, I knew outlaws. I talked to a lot of the women. I talked to all the women in that complex all the time, and they'd tell me like, "Well, there's some bad Mexican outlaws coming. They'll kill you. They'll kill you." And I knew this woman whose husband was threatened by a Mexican outlaw, an illegal, and so he shot him. And she said, it was either shoot or be killed. Shoot or be killed. And now they've got him in jail and they won't let him out.
Well, and
he's a nice guy. He's not like the Mexican outlaw was.
Mexico, all the way down through Central America, all the way down to South America. That's what it is. Yeah. It's called shoot or well, actually it wasn't shoot, it was take a bribe or be killed. It's not complicated.
And so when,
what are you so excited about?
Listen, when people read something where the illegal is presented as just a poor, struggling. Well, of course, there's a lot of, they're bound to be, but there's also outlaws. There's also people who want to get in the drug industry.
You're kidding.
There's a whole lot of that going on. Because why were they having all the drug wars? I mean, that place where I lived out there, which is only 35 blocks from where I live right now.
Yes.
It was like Beirut.
Yes.
On the weekends, it was like gunfire, constant. It was terrible. I have never lived in a more violent neighborhood. I never hope. In here, I've also dealt with dangerous people, but they haven't been armed, and it hasn't been the gun violence.
No sane people?
But the gun violence out there was like...
Call me back.
And there was a lot of illegals who were breaking the law. And I live where I'm surrounded by homeless people. They're all citizens. A lot of them are citizens, and they're homeless. So, you know, people fall through the safety nets all the time that are our own citizens. It's not just... So, what I'm trying to say, you know, is every time I feel like a paper is putting out something that is kind of biased, that they are trying to, you know, they're not really presenting the whole picture.
It's free. Don't you get it? Free.
Free. Yes, that's true. And
what are you trying to prove?
What am I trying to prove? I'm just what I'm trying to do is be more of a voice of reason. Of reason,
There's
saying,
no reason in
let's
this thing.
think about
Our society has
all
lost
sides.
reason 25 years ago.
Let's think about all sides to the problem. Let's not forget one aspect
there's no jobs
of the problem.
For unskilled people.
I mean, why are the people going to all the trouble of putting out a paper for everybody to read if they're going to be biased?
It's advertisement. It's a big piece of advertisement.
Yeah, well, you get a bias presenting
You figured that one out today, did you, on your
presenting the illegal, what an illegal would want you to do. What would want you to say. The sympathy thing.
You still look like you know
because
her,
why?
right?
It's to counteract Arpaio, who goes overboard the other way. The big tough guy who's ready to, you know, deport everybody, do all, you know. He comes across in Arizona as being overboard.
For you.
Not reasonable, not rational.
Never has been.
As much so. Even though I can understand his point of view. I used to be a liberal. I am not now. I'm more conservative. Why? Because I think the liberals in this country have developed such a bias, and the press has developed a bias, which doesn't help at all, because they've stopped seeing why conservatives are more conservative, and so they're fighting with the conservatives. No matter what they say, they're wrong. And I think that it used to be, you sort of feel like that both camps, Republicans and Democrat, liberals and conservatives, could kind of see the other person's point of view.
When was this?
Well, it's been quite a long time. And me...
No, I mean, seriously, when was this?
you know, me...
I'm 75 years old, and I still don't figure out... You know, when I was young growing up...
I think guns and I think illegal immigration are two issues that have gotten to where you have a legal bias, you have a liberal bias on one side, and then you have the militant, you know, people who think Arpaio can do no wrong on the other side. So what I'm trying to do this morning is just say, hey, let's have more dialogue where you're trying to look and see everybody's point of view and trying to see the realities of what happens here, what happens with illegal immigration. That's all I'm trying to do. It's just present.
The light's starting to flicker, so it's time to go.
Okay, and I think it was worth talking about this morning.
I certainly hope so for your sake.
Yes, I do.
I like my outlaw hat. Come on, just turn the damn thing off, right?
Yeah.
Just because I come from Jesse James country.
So here's this outlaw.
Yeah.
I know outlaws.
Right.
I was born. You know, you can be born into a family of outlaws. Drinkers. You learn to know what's good about them, what's bad about them, because you have to survive their home.
Has to have a drink.
You have
right?
to survive their alcoholism. So you really have to study both sides in order to survive.
Good night, folks.